What's up guys, it's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel, and we have the Superelemental summon that's just opened up again, featuring two brand new heroes. So we're going to have a look at them today, give them a breakdown and see what's up. So we've got Zengar and we've got Anzia. So these two are the featured heroes for the new Superelemental summon. We're going to start off with Zengar. He is just looking amazing, and I think he's worn the wrong clothes if he's in a freezing climate, but there you go. So Zengar is a 5-star ice hero of the barbarian class. The Superelemental family bonus applies, so basically they make their mono teams stronger, and for each ally who's got the same element, so the ice element, a shield with the hero's element is replaced with a power gem. These power gems are going to deal 20 damage to a random enemy until they're matched, and they can only spawn on regular shields, and you can get 5 power gems per element on the board at the same time. So that is the Superelemental family bonus. And he also gets the passive. Now, the passive for these heroes is much better in my opinion than the family bonus. The passive is the troop damage modifier. So basically, it means that this character's troops deal 100% more additional damage against the weaker element. And defending character, he gets 10% less damage from troops of the stronger element. So you can plan around that. The troops are going to increase damage against heroes of the nature element when you go up against them. So remember that. That's a great bonus. Now, the max power preview is on, and we have, to look at his stats, we've got 958 attack. We've got 846 defense, so a bit low on the defense for Zengar, and 1902 health, so nice and chunky on the health, but the defense, if you switch it off there, is down to 751 at max level. So pretty well, what's the word I'm looking for, a little bit of a glass cannon, shall we say, on the defense. Now, his special skill is running at fast speed, and it's called Great Frost Axe. Makes sense. And at fast speed, he's dealing 200% damage to the target. Not too much. If the target is a fire element, he deals 450% damage to nearby enemies. And the target receives 417 frost damage over 3 turns. If the target's of the fire element, the nearby enemies get 540 frost damage, over 3 turns. So he's got quite a bit going on with his special here, even though the initial hit is for 200% damage to the target. Now, the damage over time does increase with the max power preview on, so the increase in the frost damage goes to 486 from 417 for the target, and the increase for the nearby enemies, if the target is of the fire element, goes from 540 up to 630. So this is going to be interesting. So the target's going to get the 200% damage, but if the target's of the fire element, the 450% damage is going to be applied to nearby enemies. So basically what you want to do is, with this guy, you want to target somebody of the fire element on the opposing team, because that means that the nearby enemies are going to receive 450% damage as well. Even though his first initial hit is going to be less to the target is going to get 486 frost damage over 3 turns, so that is going to work out just under 200 a turn, something like that, or maybe 150 or so. But if the target is of the fire element, again, the nearby enemies are going to get a massive 630 frost damage over 3 turns. So the interesting thing about Zengar is that he's hitting the target for less potentially than he's hitting the nearby enemies. So you kind of want to bring him up against the team where the fire target is on the flank or the tank position. It's going to be less common to find a fire tank in today's meta, but you'd be doing all right. You'd probably find a fire flank. At the top level, I can think of Khufu is going to be very, very prominent in the flank position. Um, the only downside is that Khufu's the one that you really want to take out quick. So even though the applied damage is going to be higher to the nearby enemies, he's kind of the one that you'd want to take out. But to be honest, I really like this because it's running at fast speed, and I think that at fast speed he's going to be able to deal some pretty serious damage. He'll also be able to inflict bleed damage to the target, so that is also going to be a benefit, or bleed damage to other enemies on the team. So damage over time is going to be a big one with Zengar, and if you're going up against him, you're definitely going to want to bring a cleanse, because that could hurt. Not so much of a defensive hero though, more an offensive hero, but he is definitely going to be a superstar in your offensive teams if you manage to snag him. So well done if you did, and congratulations if you did get this guy. He's an excellent hero. In terms of grading, I'd say that he's probably in the A range, maybe not A plus, but he's pretty damn good. So not a bad hero to start with. Now, second hero that we have to have a look at here is Anzia. And Anzia is of the cleric class, really good class for healing. Passive is the same, and the family bonus is the same, so we won't go over those again. And we have a nun, it seems, which is quite interesting. Not sure how she fits in to the Superelemental summon. Maybe it is a bit sort of spiritual, but maybe going out on a bit of a limb here, SG, with the nun theme. Let's have a look at her stats. So with Anzia, we're looking at 875 attack, 913 defense, and 2015 health. Wow, I don't think I've seen many heroes over 2000 health. That's pretty high. So if we switch the max power preview off, it's 762 attack, so quite low, 780 defense, so pretty okay, and 1654 health, which is just huge. So she's there, she's all about sticking around and surviving. She's got a lot of health and a pretty good defensive stat as well. So let's have a look at the special. So it's called Radiant Comeback, and it's at average speed. Like the sound of that. So all allies counterattack with 75% of the damage received, and a further 7% increase per each ice shield on the board for 5 turns. That's a long time, up to 159% damage in total. And that is a massive, massive counterattack. 75, I mean, that's adding... Wow, you'd have to have a lot of ice shields for it to get up to that. But even if you did have just 3 or 4 ice shields on the board, you're still going to be countering with over 100% of the received damage. And that counter attack is going to apply to all of your allies for 5 turns. Now, there's more. So all ice allies regenerate a moderate amount of mana for each counterattack for 5 turns, and the effect gets diminished for consecutive activations during the same turn. This special is pretty straightforward, it's pretty blunt, it's pretty to the point, but it is incredible in what it does, and for a couple of reasons. So the first reason that Anzia is going to be good is because she has that health stat. That high health stat means that she's going to be survivable, and it means that she's going to be able to take a lot of damage. She doesn't have a super strong defensive stat, which actually works in her favor as well, because if you look at somebody like Asmia, whose name is very similar, and I think that might be along this sort of theme, but Asmia, she has a massive defensive stat for a 4-star hero, which can be boosted up in terms of emblems and things like that. But the problem with having such a high defense stat is that the counter attack is less effective, because they get the counter attack is for a percentage of damage dealt. So that's the first reason why she's so good, is that her stats match her special skill. And the second reason is that she's giving the counterattack to all of the opposing team or all of her allies, which is something that we haven't seen. A lot of counterattacks with mana generation and heroes that have been effective with this type of counterattack are Ferrant, who is counterattack for himself and nearby, and the new costume Oberkan, which is also counterattack for himself and nearby. So Anzia is going to be an absolute beast. I think she's going to probably be one that a lot of people will just brush over. Initially, when I saw her, I was like, counterattack, is that really any good? But to be fair, I think that she is going to be amazing. So both of these heroes are great. I think she might just nudge it into the A plus category for me at the moment. But both really good heroes and a good portal to summon in if you're looking for some ice heroes. I was lucky enough to do a couple of pulls and snag Frida, who's one that I've been looking for ages. I've just been using Nordri for the elemental defense down up until I got her. So super stoked about that. So there are some pretty good heroes. There's Morel in here. Definitely not that guy, Claren. Frost is pretty good. Vila, no costume for Perseus, unfortunately. But yeah, there's some good ones in here that you could get. There's my girl. So yeah, I wish you guys all of the best in your summons. Enjoy the quest. I hope you've got enough blue heroes to make it count. Please drop us a like and subscribe if you found the video useful, and I look forward to seeing you all again in the next video. Peace.